She gave a stranger her last slice of pizza, not knowing he was a millionaire searching for someone just like her. Alara stood beneath the flickering streetlight, her coat barely shielding her from the biting wind. Her shift at the gas station had ended hours ago, but she'd lingered in the alley behind Rossi's Pizza, savoring her dinner, a single slice of pepperoni, her only meal that day. As she prepared to take the final bite, she noticed a man nearby, hunched over and shivering, wrapped in layers of worn-out jackets. He wasn't begging, he wasn't even looking at her, but something in Alara couldn't walk away. Without thinking, she crossed the alley and held out the slice. "Here," she said softly, "you look like you need this more than I do." The man looked up, his blue eyes piercing and weary. "Are you sure?" she nodded. "I'm not rich, but I've got enough for today." He accepted it like it was a gift from heaven. Alara turned before he could say more, walking off into the dark, never expecting to see him again. The next morning, Alara spotted him again, sitting quietly on the park bench across from the gas station. He was eating a bagel someone else had given him, but when she walked by he gave her a nod and a half smile. "Thanks again," he called out gently. She paused. "You remembered me. People don't usually give away food like that, not in this city." Despite herself, Alara walked over and sat on the opposite end of the bench. "You got a name, Lucian." He hesitated as if choosing to reveal it. "And you, Alara." They talked a little, about the weather, the traffic, her crappy job. Lucian didn't say much about himself. He mostly listened, but when she got up to leave he stood too, like it mattered to him that she'd come. That night, Alara found herself thinking about him, about the way his voice sounded educated, gentle, not like someone used to sleeping in the cold. Something about him didn't quite add up. Alara began seeing Lucian every other day, always near the park, sometimes reading a tattered book, other times sketching in a worn notebook. Each time their conversations grew. He asked about her dreams. No one ever asked her that. She confessed her secret desire to run an after-school center for kids in her neighborhood. Someplace warm with art and books and pizza Fridays, she laughed. Lucian listened like it mattered. "That sounds beautiful." She pressed him more about his past. He always deflected. "I used to work in design, burned out," was the most she got. But there was something about the way he looked at store windows, a distant recognition, that made her wonder if he was more than he let on. And still she returned every other day. One rainy night, Alara finished work to find Lucian standing outside the store, soaked to the bone. She rushed over. "You'll get sick like this." She grabbed his arm and dragged him under the awning, her hands trembling. "Wait here." She went back inside and returned with a fresh pair of socks from the clearance bin and a thermos of leftover hot cocoa. Lucian looked stunned. "You didn't have to." "I know," she said simply. "But I wanted to." He hesitated, then took the socks. "You're the first person in years who's looked at me like I'm not invisible." That night, as the rain poured around them, they sat together in silence under the awning, sipping cocoa from paper cups. As days passed, Lucian's barriers began to drop. He never offered full truths, but pieces began to fall into place. His hands weren't calloused, his vocabulary was refined. Once, when Alara vented about overpriced rent, he casually mentioned zoning laws and commercial real estate caps, terms not common in street corners and shelters. "You sound like you've worked with developers," she probed. "I have, in a different life." One night he admitted, "I used to have money, a lot of it, but I walked away." He didn't explain why. Alara didn't press. She recognized the look in his eyes, one she often saw in the mirror, a look that said, "I'm more than what life made me." Their bond deepened with every conversation. He remembered little things about her. A childhood stuffed bear named Mo, her favorite mural downtown, the brand of tea she liked but couldn't afford. She stopped seeing him as a mystery. He was simply Lucian, and she liked being around him more than she was ready to admit. On a quiet Sunday, they sat by the riverside where Lucian offered to sketch her. She laughed it off, self-conscious. "I'm not really portrait-worthy." "You're wrong," he said gently. "You have the kind of face artists dream about, truthful." She blushed but stayed still. As his pencil moved, his hand trembled ever so slightly. "You know," he said, not meeting her eyes, "my real name isn't even Lucian. It's just easier this way. I needed to disappear." It was the closest he had come to an admission. Alara's heart ached. "Whatever your name is, it doesn't change who you are." He looked up then, really looked at her. "That's why I keep showing up." The silence afterward said more than words ever could. Alara's life wasn't free from shadows either. A man from her past, Chaz, resurfaced. Once her boyfriend, he was now a source of lingering fear. He'd drained her savings, shattered her trust, and walked out. Now he was back hanging around her work asking questions. When he saw her walking with Lucian one evening, he sneered. "You downgraded to a hobo." Lucian didn't flinch, but later he asked, "Who was that?" "No one," she said quickly, ashamed. but Lucien's silence spoke volumes. He knew the pain of buried pasts. That night Lucien walked her home saying nothing but positioning himself always between her and the street. She didn't say thank you, she didn't need to, he already understood. The confrontation came sooner than expected. One evening Chaz cornered Alara behind the store, drunk and angry. "Thought you could forget me, huh?" Lucien arrived just in time, stepping between them with startling authority. "Walk away," Chaz laughed. "Who even are you?" Lucien's voice turned to steel. "Someone you don't want to find out about." Alara had never seen Lucien like that, calm but dangerous, like a storm hiding beneath still waters. Chaz retreated, rattled. Alara stood in silence, shaken. Lucien turned to her. "No one should live scared, not you." She realized then he wasn't just kind, he was capable, and his past, whatever it was, had prepared him for moments like this. The next morning Lucien was gone. Alara waited at their bench. Morning turned into afternoon. Days passed, nothing. She felt abandoned, again. Had she imagined the connection? Had he lied at night? She replayed every word he said, searching for clues. The pizza, the drawing, the cocoa, the confession, but the silence hurt more than any truth could have. 1 week passed, too, and just as she was about to let go, she found an envelope taped to the back of the bench. No address, just her name. Inside was a sketch, her portrait, and a note. "I'm not hiding from you. I'm facing the past so I can earn the future. Wait for me if you can." She clutched the paper like it was the most precious thing she owned. 1 month later, her manager at the gas station gasped at a magazine headline. "Isn't this your homeless guy?" The cover showed Lucien, clean-cut in a sleek suit, standing before a sprawling building with the words Wolf and Wright Designs behind him. "Lucien Wolf?" Alara whispered. Her knees buckled. He wasn't just rich, he was that rich. Memories clashed in her mind, the cocoa, the bench, the silence, the sincerity, all real. But how could he keep such a secret? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Alara," said the voice she'd waited for, "please, come meet me, let me explain everything." Lucien was waiting at the rooftop of the tallest building downtown, his building. When Alara arrived, dressed in her thrift store jacket and old boots, she hesitated. He turned and smiled. "You came. You lied," she said. "I withheld," he corrected. "Because I needed someone to see me, not my bank account." She crossed her arms. "You should have trusted me," he nodded. "I didn't trust myself." He walked to her, pulling something from his coat, a photo of them under the awning, drenched in rain. "I've never felt more like myself than I did when I was with you. Cold, soaked, invisible to the world, but seen by you." Tears welled in her eyes. She hated that she still loved him, but she did. Over the following weeks, Lucien tried to win her back. He didn't send flowers or gifts. Instead, he showed up with food for the kids she tutored after work. He paid off the broken heater in her apartment without telling her. He waited outside her shift with coffee and silence. Alara didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. He was patient, present. Slowly her anger melted, her fear faded, and one evening she said it. "I'm tired of running from what might make me happy." His hand reached for hers. "Then stop running, stand with me." Just as things began to feel real again, Vanessa showed up, Lucien's ex-business partner and ex-fiancé. "I came to reclaim what's mine," she said coldly, stepping into his office. "You left," Lucien replied. "You chose power over people." Vanessa glanced at Alara, unimpressed. "She doesn't belong in our world, she belongs in my world," Lucien said. It was the first time he said it so clearly. In front of someone who once owned his heart, Vanessa smirked. "Let's see how long she lasts." Within days, tabloids ran the story. Billionaire Wolf dating former cashier. From homeless to heiress, gold digger, or guardian angel, Alara felt exposed, mocked, judged. Lucien offered to make a statement, but she refused. "Let them talk. I don't owe anyone anything." Still, the attention wore on her, at work, at home, in the grocery line. Until one night she broke down. Lucien found her on the floor, crying. "I can't breathe." He knelt beside her. "Then let me be your breath. Let me fight with you." And for the first time she let herself be held. After the storm of media, Lucien asked her a question that took Alara by surprise. "What if we built something that mattered together?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "Remember your dream, the after-school center, the books, the art, pizza Fridays?" Her heart stilled. "I want to fund it, not as charity, but as a partnership. You lead it, I'll back it. No spotlight, just heart." For the first time in weeks she exhaled fully. "You really listened." "I always have," he said. They toured buildings, met with educators, planned out every detail. Alara insisted it be accessible, free for underprivileged kids, with programs run by volunteers from all walks of life. They named it The Common Thread. "Because we're all stitched together," Alara explained. "Every kid, every stranger, every act of kindness, like that slice of pizza." Lucien didn't speak. He just held her hand tightly. In the soft glow of that moment, Alara realized she hadn't just forgiven him. She'd found something even rarer, a true beginning, and this time she wasn't walking it alone. Construction began the following month. It wasn't easy. permits, inspections, costs, doubts. Protesters even showed up claiming it was a media stunt. Some said Alara was being used as a token. Others said Lucian was trying to buy back his reputation. But Alara stood her ground. She met with every parent, every volunteer, and insisted on transparency. She hired local artists, sourced books from independent stores, and created a mural wall where kids could leave their mark. Lucian watched her in awe. "She's better than I imagined," he told his assistant one evening. "Better than I deserve." Alara, meanwhile, saw him differently too. Not as a millionaire or a mystery, but as a man who chose to stay when he didn't have to. A man willing to risk everything again, but for something real this time. The common thread started to take shape, not just as a building, but as a living idea, one built on love, second chances, and shared purpose. Every evening, Lucian and Alara would walk through the dusty halls, dreaming aloud about what the kids would do inside those walls. For the first time in both their lives, the future felt like something they could build together. The center's opening day was just a week away when Lucian surprised Alara with a question. Only it wasn't about bricks or programs. They were on the roof again, just like the night he revealed the truth. The city lights flickered below, but all she saw was him. "Alara," he began, voice shaking a little, "you gave me your last slice of pizza. You gave me more than that, actually. You gave me back my life." He pulled out a ring, not flashy but elegant, thoughtful. "Will you give me one more thing? Will you marry me?" Her mouth dropped open. The wind stole her words but not her tears. "Yes," she whispered, "but not because of who you are, because of who you let me be." They kissed under the stars, and it wasn't about media, wealth, or redemption. It was about trust. It was about love that grew quietly, deeply, and honestly. Through cold nights, broken hearts, and silent promises. The kind of love that's chosen, not inherited. The kind of love that stays. Opening day arrived, and the line of families wrapped around the block. Inside, colorful murals adorned every wall. A reading nook sat by the window, stocked with donated books. Music floated through the air as kids painted, laughed, and ate slices of pizza, free for everyone. Alara stood at the front door greeting each child by name. Lucian stayed back, handing out juice boxes and picking up trash with the volunteers. When the ribbon-cutting ceremony began, the mayor tried to hand the mic to Lucian, but he shook his head and pointed to Alara. This was her dream. Alara stepped up, nervous but glowing. This place wasn't built from money. It was built from moments, small ones, like a stranger offering food, like someone listening, like kindness being louder than judgment. She looked at Lucian, who was smiling like the sun. "We are all connected by a common thread. Let's use it to pull each other forward." The crowd erupted in applause, and somewhere in the back a little girl tugged her mom's sleeve. "Is that what love looks like?" Her mother smiled. "Yes, baby, I think it is." 1 year passed. The Common Thread Center had helped over 200 children, launched 3 art exhibits, and partnered with 4 schools. Alara became a name people knew, admired not for glamour but for grit, for grace. Lucian had stepped away from the business world entirely, pouring his time into mentoring young designers and volunteering anonymously. They lived modestly, in a cozy townhouse near the center. They cooked together, argued over which pizza topping was best, and took long walks by the riverside where it all began. Their marriage wasn't flashy. It was quiet, sacred, and full of inside jokes. Alara never forgot what it felt like to be unseen. She made sure no one in her orbit ever felt that way again. And Lucian, he finally felt at home. Not in any mansion or office, but in the sound of her laugh across the hall, in the art the children drew, and in the steady peace of being loved for his soul, not his status. One rainy evening, Alara and Lucian sat beneath the same awning where they once shared cocoa and silence. He handed her a slice of pizza. "You're still sharing food with strangers?" she teased. "Nope," he said. "I'm sharing it with my whole world." They clinked slices like wine glasses. As the rain fell, they laughed, no longer bound by the past, no longer hiding from the world. They were simply 2 people who met at the edge of giving up and found something worth holding on to. Not a fairy tale. Something better. A real, ordinary, extraordinary love. And it all started with a single, simple act. A slice of pizza. If this story moved you, make sure to hit the like button. Share it with someone who believes in second chances. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that celebrate kindness, love, and the moments that change everything.